understand how to apply it in their various fields. The foundation helps to increase competence and different aspects of mathematics among students across all levels. We partner with governments and other private sectors in training individuals using mathematics and related fields to help attain a higher level of understanding in their professions. That was just a little info of Math for Life Foundation and what we do. I hope I have been able to let you know or drive you around what Mathematics for Life Foundation is all about. Kelechi, please, can you move the slide? Okay, before we go deeply into the training, we have an icebreaker for you all. So, OTTFFS, what letter comes next and why? OTTFFS, what letter comes next and why? Can you guys try? Victor, Tintape, you guys should try. OTTFFS, what letter comes next and why? Think. What letter comes next and why? OTTFFS. What letter do you think comes next and why? It is very, so when I was going through this thing, I really didn't expect it, but just try. What letter comes next and why? You can just put the letter O. Nah. Nope. Why? No. Why cannot be it? Think. What letter comes next and why? OTTFFS. What letter comes next and why? Okay, let's move to the next icebreaker. I will tell you the answer for that one. Okay, let me tell you the answer for that one before we move to the next one. S. Okay. Karen said S. Okay. Yes, S comes next, but why? Okay, let me just let you guys know what the answer is. Okay, Victor said S. Why? Why S?
Let me see. Okay, I'm saying S because of the pattern. There's TT, there's FF, and then I think after one S, the next letter should be an S.
Nope. But let me tell you why. Can you take it back to the slide where you have that? Okay, O stands for 1, T 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the next letter is S, 7. That is why it is S. So that is the answer for this icebreaker. So your mind will never go there, but you know, we learn every day. OTTFFS. So the next letter S is 7, and that's why it comes next. So for the next icebreaker, we have, can you move the slide, please? Mention in the chat box 2 skills you are familiar with. We are doing this to just give people a little time to join in before we move to the issues we have while we are here. So mention in the chat box 2 skills you are familiar with. Let's go. Tell us 2 skills you are familiar with in the chat box. Waiting. 2 skills. Not seeing anything, no. Let us know 2 skills you are familiar with in the chat box. Okay. Sewing. Oh, nice. That's nice. Hairstyling and programming. Oh, Karen says hairstyling and programming. Kelechi says sewing. Nice. 2 skills. Hiana, art and okay. Mr. says Hiana, art and crafts. Victor says public speaking, rigging and slinging. Okay. That's nice. That's nice. Oh, that's great. Okay. Let us move to our facilitator for today's training. Our facilitator is Dr. Wisdom Enang. Dr. Wisdom Enang is a PhD holder in mechanical engineering from the University of Bath, UK. He's currently working as a consultant design engineer in Lagos, Nigeria, with responsibility ranging from mechanical/piping design to project management. He has worked on over 20 plus oil and gas facility program, onshore and offshore. Prior to the beginning of Dr. Enang's career as a consultant design engineer in oil and gas, he worked as a research engineer in automotive sector with Powertrain and Vehicle Research Center at Department of Mechanical Engineering, University of Bath, UK, 2011 to 2013. Dr. Wisdom Enang is an international published authority in the field of engineering, with some of his publications disseminated by renowned international journals like Journal of Automobile Engineering by Sage Publishers and Renewable and Sustainable Engineering Energy Review journals by Elsevier Publisher. He's also served as a review authority in several international journals and as a keystone speaker at various national and international conferences and inspirational lectures. With these few details of our Dr. Wisdom, can you help me welcome him to start our second phase of Section 1 training? Can you help me welcome our facilitator?
All right. Can you hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. A warm good afternoon to everyone. It's a pleasure to, be called upon to deliver a session. I have much gratitude to the foundation authorities and those who deemed me fit for this, for this purpose. I'm indeed pleased to be here, and I take this very seriously. I'm very grateful. So, have you got my slides up? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, Kelechi, can you please have his slides up?
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much. All right, so we just wait for my slides to come up. So when it's up, kindly let me know.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, it's coming up now. Excellent. So when I go to the next slide, I'll let you know. So today we'll be sharing a sort of a learning session, where I learn from. I would also learn during the question sessions, as well as you learn from me as well. We'll be sharing a session on skill acquisition and imperative for curbing youth unemployment. And in the recent times in Nigeria, that has become a theme that is more important than ever that we look into. Next slide, please. So for a broad overview, we'll be looking at the rudimentary of skills acquisition and development, looking at examples of how to develop a skill development plan, the types of skills, avenues for skill acquisition and development, and how do you position yourself for global excellence, the benefits of skill acquisition and development, the Nigerian skills acquisition and development outlook, opportunities and challenges, funding and partnership opportunities for entrepreneurial startup in Nigeria. And this is a very important point, because if you think about it, whatever skill you're going to learn has an end product. Either you're going to work or you're going to create some employment or business for yourself. So it is important that we don't just talk about the skills, but we also talk about what next after you've got that skill sets. Then the skills disruption and the future of works, and then the summary. Next slide, please. Thank you. What brings to your mind when you hear the word skill acquisition? If I can just have someone come up and just say something about what comes up in your mind when you hear the word or the words skill acquisition. What comes up on your mind? Any volunteers?
Okay. Yeah, this Kelechi speaking.
Excellent.
For me, when I hear the word skill, and I'm very honest here, I feel like it's something that has to do with what you do with your hands. That's for me. I don't think it's something maybe you learn. Maybe it's like, I feel like there's a talent, something you do with your hands.
Okay, that's a good starting point, and that almost fits very much correctly into the kind of what we call popular mindsets of people. So you're not alone on that, but I'm going to define it a little bit differently. So there exists the misconception of what exactly skills acquisition and development is. A lot of people in the society inherently perceive it to be just vocational and training, which is just what you talked about, or some sort of low-level training made for people, that are, trying to get some skill or trade. But you see, this is why this presentation has been put together, the way it's been put together, to sort of demystify that thought and put into perspective on a broader scale what skills acquisition means. So there are varieties of definition of what skill means, but I'd like to look at it in the following ways, right? It's the ability to acquire, an ability that has been acquired by training, the ability to utilize your talent, ability to produce solutions in some problem domain. It's a tool necessary to achieve your set goal, and it encompasses knowledge, competencies, and abilities necessary to achieve the set goal. Next slide, please. So, skills development on the other side is the method of detecting the skills gap and improving these skills. So you detect the gaps, create a stewardship plan for closing the gap, and then actually follow through with these plans that you've actually had using consistent practices and training. So some of the ways you do this, you outline your goals, you identify the skills that needs to, to be achieved, uh, then proactively develop the needed skills, track and assess your progress. And along this path, the role of a mentor is very important because then you can learn from the experience, and you don't have to do the same mistakes that they actually did at the time. So I'd like to just highlight that bit. Next slide, please. So talking about skills development plan, I just picked an example here for an electrical systems engineer. Just so what this all talks about really is, you know what you want to be. You're looking out for what is the basic skills, which is you need to get your BEng, for example. And then if you've got it, then you need to then look at what are the industry specific skills that are required. And if you don't have the requirement, you go look for opportunities to learn. And if you do have the requirements, you look at the specific and peculiar skills requirement, because it then narrows off from the broad competency down to an industry specific skill set, down to the role you're looking at. So the skills are enormous. So this is sort of a path that you would determine, that we use to determine what skill sets needs to be gathered. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. So types of skill. Skills, there could be a lot more types, but these are the main types. The first one is the core skills. These are the essential skills that young people need to be fully prepared for life and work in the global economy. And this is an example of this is the communication, numeracy, literacy, and ICT skills. The next one is the employability skills. Employability skills are those skills necessary for getting, keeping, and being successful in a job. These include teamwork, problem solving, initiative, planning and organizing, good cognitive reasoning, entrepreneurial thinking, self-management and learning. And then we have the vocational skills, which are empirical skills that individuals acquire in a specific area of interest, usually from hands-on experience. They are often defined as occupational and technical skills that are required to be, for example, a nurse or a chef. So this is just a simple general way of looking at the domains, the skill, the skill sets that are, different types of skills. It's not domain specific. And the highlighted skills are a combination of skills which potential entrepreneurs should possess, no matter their domain or specialty. So it's just, so when you now go to the specific, those are different, but these are kind of what you should really have to get to bring some value to the table in whatever field you wish to explore. Next slide, please. Excellent. So avenues for skills acquisition and development. So these are the different ways you could actually explore to get, some skills, gain some skills. Professional development and training is one, and it could be industry specific or may focus on acquiring soft skills such as communication, leadership, or team building. The training may lead to other professional development opportunities. It is very essential for today's competitive labor market. The next one is the courses. So whether it's a university campus course or a course on campus or an education you're pursuing online, Courses can help you develop the theoretical and practical knowledge you need to upgrade your skills. Consider courses that have practical components so you can immediately put into practice the skills you acquire. And that's very important because I think education has transformed from just, in recent times, there's a need for that transformation from just studying for the sake of having a degree to getting something that's practical, where you have a clear line of sight on what the utilization purpose is. So that's very important. Mentorship. Mentors exert a huge influence on your professional life, as I said. So starting from the leverage, learnings, guiding you on the decisions you take, they are very important. And I'll just bring to bear this point with a life story, right? When I was very young, at the time I got into the University of Bath for my first degree, we had different lecturers come around and advertise their courses. And it was so interesting that during the time of the Freshers Week, the adverts I saw for mechanical engineering wasn't that interesting at all. In fact, it was said it is the oldest engineering. And I thought to myself, well, why do I need to go for the oldest engineering? I may as well go for something ultra modern. I had to talk to my mom, and we talked to a couple of engineers. And I told one of them I wanted to be an aerospace engineer. And he frankly asked me, where do you want to practice? And I said, Nigeria. He said, well, aerospace, aeronautics, you're not going to have a good market. I mean, in hindsight, right, I wasn't too happy. I had to take a mechanical at some point and move on. But I wasn't too happy because I thought I wanted to go for the classic astronomical stuff. But in hindsight, really, my friends, every one of them that did aeronautical and eventually returned to Nigeria, they have no place to work. And, so I was just one of the lucky people that had their eyes on some of the amazing and fanciful stuff. But that would have really not been something that would have created value for me. So that's just to reinforce the role of a mentor. So with their deep knowledge, experience, and connections and insight, they can guide you or be sounding boards for your ideas. They can help you put the difficulties of the present in perspective and help you expand your sense of what is possible. Developing a mentoring relationship could be one of the most valuable investments in your life. The last one is volunteering. You need to find opportunities to learn, hone, and use new skill through volunteer work. If you're currently employed, volunteer for new tasks at your place of employment that will let you use your new skills. Next slide, please. Right. So, how do you position yourself and your skills for global excellence, right? So, in recent times, we've seen a lot of youth, a significant amount of youth, looking to explore the international community, whether it's Canada, Australia, the UK. But the question is, are you ready for the skills that are required there? I just drive home a point, really. I like to bring some examples to bear so I can drive home my points. I have a friend, and he migrated to Canada. I called him 6 months after, and I said, how is Canada? The first thing he told me is, if I knew what I knew now, I would have had my skills ready for the Canadian market. And I said, what do you mean? He said, in Canada, it's not so much about the degree you have. It's more about the professional certifications in your field. So you see there's a big paradigm from where you are here, where everyone is, is talking about BSc, first class, PhD, down to a place where the minimum is what they need. They just need you to have your certifications and licenses. So if you were to cross there, the first thing you want to do is to make sure you've got a spectrum of the skill sets required to hit the ground rolling, and you begin to get those skills. So in a nutshell, my friend spent about 9 months of his time in Canada, getting the certification and paying the bills in Canada just to get that. He could have done that online. So that's just to drive from that point. So how do you ensure that your skills are, your skills are in demand? Whatever you're gaining, the skills that you're gaining, how do you know they're in demand? So you do some simple checks. Ask yourself, check around the internet, are they in demand? Does my expertise in my preferred skill meet the minimum standard? So you could have those expertise, but look at the competency levels that are required for that field and see if you meet it. There are examples of ways to test your competency level at every point in time. Then look at the trend. You don't want to pick up a skill set that 8 out of 10 theorists are saying that that skill set is fading away. And then look at things and tools you can use to sharpen those skills that you're probably getting. Some of them could be online learning platforms, such as Udemy, Coursera, HubSpot, Code Academy, Microsoft Virtual Academy, and these are they all offer international standard courses, which you could use to broaden your skill set. Also utilize things like the platforms like the LinkedIn skill test to test your capabilities and see how you compare competitively. Then most importantly, when you get your skills, make sure you go for recognized certifications to drive home the point that you've got the skills, because no one is going to be able to know you've got XYZ amount of skills if you don't have a certification. So that's very important. It could just be a lot of the people I know, they have the skill sets, and getting the certification is not hard at all because it's just a test of what you actually have. So it's very important that we get there. These are the simple strategies that can put one ahead in a competitive labor market. Next slide, please. So let's talk a little bit about the benefits of skill acquisition and development. The first I'll take is the improved marketability and competitiveness. So, upgrading your skills help you keep up to date within your field and helps you become a more competitive applicant. And employers love to see someone that has a skill set they need, they can add value, and you're much more likely to have a call back, and being hired, amongst other competing candidates. So increase self-confidence. If you've got a skill, then you have a value proposition, your confidence are a lot higher, and you're able to make a big difference in the workforce. And these are things that employers are actually looking for, in candidates. It's not just having the basic requirements. I think profitability is now defined by the extra value that you can bring to the table. And the organizational value is a reflection of the value of the employees. So the next one is greater resourcefulness. The new skills give you the ability to offer solutions to problems that occur on the job. So my take on this is really learning I would say this, and this shocks a lot of people when I say it. All you've done in school up until now, regardless of whether you're a PhD or you're a professor, you are learning how to learn, because all you've actually done, there's no guarantees in life whatsoever that you will end up doing the same thing you've always learned in school. But what is important really is that you keep an open mindset, hone in on your core learning skills, because you could be thrown into anywhere. I've seen an electrical engineer being thrown into the reservoir world, and you have to learn, and you have to learn and perform at the same time. So it's very important for you to get some soft skills, especially the learning skills and adaptability skills that will allow you to fit in very importantly in a kind of, I would say, multi-dimensional work environment. So employers value employees who are self-directed and able to anticipate and resolve issues. So it's one of the most valued skill sets. Now you have better opportunities. Upgrading your skills will open doors to new career opportunities that you may not have been able to consider. So if you've got some skill set in programming, you could well branch into an engineering section where you mostly configuring instruments and programming logic, control logics. So there is a huge variety of advantages for you to explore, for you to gain when you take on board skills acquisition and development. Next slide, please. So what are the opportunities? So I've been talking about the importance of these and the structure for actually putting it together. What are the opportunities and challenges? How do you get this? So on the right is a flow chart which shows the programs that are done, both entrepreneurial, academic, and the ones that, so some of us are already aware of some of these ones that already exist. And one of the reasons that the government has tried to put this in place is because of the staggering number of unemployed people. Second quarter 2020 was 13.9 million Nigerian youth unemployed. And that's a really, really scary number, looking at the effects of that on the economy and the socio-political ambience. So this has been, created to curb the youth employment and also facilitate sustainable and productive socio-economic development. So these are done in two main fronts: academic and entrepreneurial. A lot of us have, seen these opportunities. Some of us are beneficiaries of the opportunities. Next slide, please. So I'll just, glance through some of this because we're already, most of us are aware of it already. But if not, I'll give this slide. This slide should be available if you want to request it later on. So the Empower program, is just one that was set up to, address the challenge of youth employment by providing a structure for large-scale and relevant work skills acquisition and development, while linking its core outcomes to fixing the inadequate public services and stimulating the economy. And later on, we're going to talk about what could have been done differently to improve this and what are the challenges associated with the Nigerian programs. Next slide, please. For the academic initiative, we're looking at scholarships, for example, the bilateral educational agreement scholarship with the countries that they've got these agreements with, the PTDF, which a lot of us are already aware of, a federal government agency. That's what the PTDF is, with the mandate of developing indigenous human capacity and petroleum technology to address the needs of the oil industry. And then we've got the NDC scholarship. There are a lot more, really. These are some of the ones that came top of my head when I was writing this up. Okay, next slide, please. We've got so apart from government, there are the private sector participation in skills and entrepreneurship development in Nigeria. Got the Tony Lumelu one. And all of them speaks to the same thing, really. They're, just doing just about the same thing, trying to create employment, get the youth with the right skills and opportunities to create wealth and value for themselves and the country at large. So we've got the Tony Lumelu Foundation, Shell Livewire Program, and the MTN Youth Entrepreneurship Development Program. So a lot of this information will be available should you wish to have a look. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is one of the ones, so this is one important one that I'm going to spend quite a bit of time explaining. And this is just to understand how could a vocational educational training scheme technical and vocational educational training scheme, how could it have been designed differently? And this is one important thing we need to take back, because if it's not defined correctly by the government or people that are implementing them, then the onus is on us to put, when you're undergoing these programs, to make sure you address some of those deficiencies and make it worthwhile. Because come to think about it, a lot of people are attending the program and a lot of them are actually succeeding in the program. So, it's not really an excuse that, oh, the program isn't structured properly. Okay, so despite the numerous opportunities within the Nigerian technical and vocational educational program training scheme, as I highlighted, the setbacks have been, the structural setbacks. When you compare, and in this instance, I'm comparing to the UK TVET program. So, the UK TVET program is a standardized collaborative program within various stakeholders. So it has that element, that brings together employers of labor, employer representatives, funding bodies, regulators, inspecting agencies, learning providers, and learners, which makes it, I would say, fit for purpose, because we have different stakeholders contributing their quota, making it very rich. And with this, and one important thing is it's actually being structured in a way that there's money. Okay. It is structured in a way that it is there is a clear benchmark for achievement which must be met, and then that gives it tremendous value to employers of labor. So, next slide. Thank you. So, why is it important that if you're running a scheme, the employers need to be a part of that scheme? And the reason is this: it is vital that employers have the workforce that they need for them to be able to grow and prosper in the global economy. They therefore need the skills training at all levels to be relevant and of high quality. As in many countries, it remains a challenge to fully align the needs of employment with that of schools, colleges, and universities, and to balance the wider educational goals with equipping people with specific skills they need for sustainable employment. So the way the UK has done is that to meet the employer's needs, right, the UK policy has a strong focus of the technical, and it ensures that the system employers are telling you what they want, rather than being supplier driven, where we just want to do it for the sake of doing it. So, and this helps to improve, quality and relevance. To deliver the skills that employers need in a manner that learners expect, all learning providers need to have the following attributes, and you can read it up on the right-hand side. So it just tells the minimal requirements, how the curriculum is to be designed before you can deliver. So it's not just different individuals setting up their own vocational training programs. There's a way it's got to work to meet the requirements of the employer. Okay, so next slide, please. So what's the deductions? What are we learning? I am going to read up what should have been done, what's the inherent structural deficiencies with the Nigerian vocational programs. And by comparison, there's one for the UK, which is on the left-hand side. But what I intend to do is to show you what you can do differently when you're undertaking this program to make the best out of it. And that's the aim. It's not really to criticize the system. It's really to show you that there are setbacks, but you've got to still what those closure gaps. It's your responsibility. So In the Nigerian structure, there is no standard government policy for the technical training program. For example, there's no minimum standard set for the Empower skill providers. So it's just provided, for the sake of, addressing some concern. But how do you quantify how it's been? How do you standardize it? The public and private learning providers are working independently, which is not supposed to be so. As you see in the UK structure, they actually come together as a team, to deliver a fit for purpose curriculum for the training. There is no set target of achievement, especially from government-led programs. So there's nothing to measure how are we doing. It's just the target is more on the timeline. Empower for 12 months. It's not empower for achieving this. And then these are the objectives, and these are how we're going to measure the various objectives. There is no set standard for learning for providers, and barely any accreditation in most cases. There's little or no employers' participation. A lot of the programs are just run independently. It's especially the government ones. They don't run to meet, to really bring home what the employers would have been looking at themselves. There are some few ones. I'm not saying they're not there, but I'm saying if you happen to be there on the side where these programs are not structured, then you structure it yourself and make the best out of it. And what we find is that a lot of the trainers and trainees rather will still come out not meeting employability standards. Next slide. So, irrespective of the highlighted drawbacks indicated in the previous slide, regarding the Nigerian program, it's a good practice to adopt a philosophy of little is better than nothing. We can't wait for the government to always fix everything. We need to maximize our opportunities that are available. Look back and ask yourself, are people actually succeeding in this program? If yes, then there are no excuses for failure. Seek the winning path and follow through. Reflect on when you were in school, for example, with the same lectures, resources, people still failed, and some performed higher than others. What made the difference? It's consistent practice and personal development. Go beyond what is available if possible. So, next slide, please. Okay. So, yes. So, for example, you've learned all the skills and you've got a hand on what you want to do next. There are two parts, really. Either you go for a job or you go start up a business. And I didn't feel this would be a complete presentation if I don't talk about the entrepreneurial bit, because it's just as very important that we talk about it. So the big question starts, how do I start up? If you're self-funded, that's easy. The startup plan gets even easier for that. If you're looking for partnerships or support, then the question is, how do I get, it from where do I get the funding? How do I get funding? And then from where? So let's look at what entrepreneurship is. It's the pursuit of opportunity without regards to resource currently controlled. So in other words, you are looking at pursuing an opportunity without money at hand, but somehow you need to get started. So let's look at avenues to get funding and what you need to put in place to make this possible. Next slide, please. Thank you. So let me state that there is no investor or potential partner or even an NGO that gives out money for free. It's got to be, if it's not profit driven, it's value driven. They want to be part of a value that you're bringing to the table. So there's always a catch. Is there a collateral, or are your ideas marketable? And here we're just going to be looking at the marketable ideas. How do you make your ideas marketable? Investors are interested in hearing your business ideas and how you bring good return on investment for investors who are hoping to make a profit out of your business. Even for nonprofit investors, they still want to know, make certain that their grants will not fall on dry ground. So let's look at a simple model that you could adopt. A model that's it consists of 9 elements: customer segment, value propositions, channels, customer relationship established, revenue streams, key resources required to create value, key activities required to create value, key partners, and the cost structure of the business model. So I'll just take a look at this much more in details. So for the key partners, these are people you can leverage on for your business model. They are people you need to be successful and to deliver value or absorbing risk for your business. For the key activities, these are activities that need to happen efficiently on a regular basis. Business for your business to be successful. For example, a bakery would need its oven and distribution truck to function optimally. Key resources, this describes the infrastructure you intend to create, deliver, and capture, you intend to create, deliver, and capture values. It looks at the business assets. Value proposition, we're looking at bundles of products, values, and service to create to your customers. Customer relationship describes the type of relationship you intend to establish with your potential customers. Channels is talking about the ways and means of reaching your customers, whether it could be traditional means or virtual. And the customer segment are talking about the people, organization for which you're creating the value for. Cost structure is dealing with the having a piece together, the 8 elements. This gives you an understanding of the business model infrastructure and hence provides you with a cost structure such as the fixed costs and the overhead costs. So how are you looking? And that's something people, investors really would look at. What are you spending their money on? And your revenue streams are very important. How dynamic is it? Your pricing, how will your customers pay for the value you're delivering, the pricing mechanism? How do you ensure that there's steady flow of income that would exceed expenses? So this is just a good way of looking at the key elements that needs to be, whether it's a business plan that you want to take forward for some funding. Next slide, please. Okay, so funding sources, I'll get very quickly with this. There are materials you can read up beyond this and even on this. So if you're a small business, there's the CBN Creative Industry Fund, which sets aside, I think, between 3 million to 500 million, depending on your applicant, the applicant capacity, for various industry participants to apply for. And then you can read that up. Next slide, please. There's the micro, small, and medium enterprises development fund, and that looks at 60% of its funding for women and 40% for others. And then the aggregate small, medium enterprise scheme, and then the Bank of Industry funding opportunity. So these are all ones that you have to read up. And sorry, these are all ones that you need to read up on and and approach the opportunity as required. Sorry, just a minute, please.
Sorry, I'm trying to. The network here is. Oh my God.
Hi, can you hear me now? Hello, can anyone hear me?
Okay, I think
Yes, I can hear
Dr.
you
Enang
now.
took a
Next,
break.
Yeah, I can
okay,
hear
Yeah,
you.
okay, we can.
right. Next slide, please. Thank you. So, yeah, okay. So I just added there's in terms of private funding, we've got the Young Engineers Entrepreneurship Club. I'm actually one of the mentors for this, and it seeks to to support the development of the Nigerian human capital through quality training and entrepreneurial enhancement schemes necessary to facilitate economic growth. So the initiative creates an ecosystem that fosters the emergence, structuring, and professionalism of entrepreneurship for young engineers, making it possible to making it a conducive option to work and wealth creation. So they've only just started, but they've got a very good plan in place to allow engineers transition rather into entrepreneurs at the end. So there's a summary by the right, which would just give you a picture of what you need to do to get your business together. If that was the route, as I said, I had to address this because not everyone is looking at employment, and not everyone will get employment. That's the truth. That's something to read up on later on. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. So, skills disruption and the future of work. So what is the future? Because we can't be talking about skills without knowing, okay, what do I really need to be doing for the future, skill set that I require. So the fourth industrial revolution is bringing a lot of disruptions to the traditional industry norms with automation, robotics, artificial intelligence, smart manufacturing, and digitalization as the next big thing in our industries. There is bound to be a huge skill shift required in no distant future. So, according to McKinsey Global Institute, 75 million to 375 million present-day workers may need to switch occupational categories and learn new skills by 2030, depending on how fast automation is widely adopted. So, does it mean that this spells doom to existing job market? Not at all, really. That's the way I feel. Uh, New jobs will be created, but the skills needed to function in these new roles will greatly evolve, and that's one important thing that we need to know. You need to be up to date because the world is not going to wait for us. The world is going to evolve, and we need to we need to be ready for when that revolution comes around. Okay, uh, next slide. Right. So I just like us to watch a video, and then the YouTube video. It's a short discussion, and we would would see what. So click the video. Would see some of the discussions about how the new sets of skills affect Africa, as and Nigeria at large.
Okay, so I should share the video too.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, let me know if you can hear it. Can you see the video?
Yeah, we can see the video, but I think you need to connect your audio. Okay, yeah, okay. We
Can you hear it?
With technology driving all aspects of our lives today, the future of the new business or industries to emerge and the skills to run them is becoming a major headache to nations and organizations. Earlier in the week, I hosted experts in these areas in our studio, and the future of work was our focus. Some of the key things that might be adduced by those in the industry or coming into the industry are fear of losing jobs by individuals or even some companies going off the radar. And by that, I mean their services no longer needed in the future. And the growth of nations also shrinking through not innovating enough in such a way that they're able to compete, globally. Where does this leave Africa and Nigeria?
Africa really is not a threat. It is the new frontier for Africa. So it's not an issue of a threat. It's about now how do we harness and make good use or get the best out of it, which is a situation for talent management right now. There is no industry that is not going to be affected by the wind of change. That is, every industry, some will cease to exist, while some will lose as much as 70% of their current workforce. Why? Because as long as your job has a repetitive element in it, which is 60% of virtually all jobs, then those ones will be replaced by robots. And so once robots are doing somebody else's job, then that person that will now sit on the job will now need to either be able to do twice what they were doing before or be without a job.
The new digital economy is bringing to the fore the not too relevance of the natural resource to the knowledge resource. Madam, do you think Nigeria stand a place to maybe in the next 5 years compete? Because the future is already here with us.
Well, actually, I don't. I don't think we're prepared. I think our curriculum needs an overhaul. I don't think anything has really changed in the way the curriculum has been for the last 3 decades, perhaps. So I feel that our current educational curriculum doesn't really match the current and future needs of the workforce in terms of even the way learning is delivered and learning is taught. So we're still very much entrenched in that root learning as opposed to practical application of knowledge, which is what the workforce is requiring now. So the learning has to incorporate, aspects of critical thinking, problem solving, communication, the softer skills, as well as the theory.
In redesigning and participating actively in the knowledge economy, so I think we're dwelling on knowledge and skill.
Yes.
So why do you think that Nigeria is not really ready? Can you break it down for us?
Well, I think basically if we have a look at the country as a whole, I would say 2 sectors in general have been neglected: education and health. In terms of even budget allocation to these 2 sectors, health and education are critical, because if you have a healthy population that can go to school, that can be creative, that can be developed, then you will find that those 2 combinations contribute to innovation in any country. So I don't think enough attention or resources, budgetary or otherwise, have been allocated to our educational sector at all. I think maybe since they redesigned the system where you now have junior secondary and senior secondary, I'm not sure we've seen any sort of overhaul or even innovation in the education sector, in a while, to be honest with you.
Beyond education, What are the key things you think we should be looking at now in terms of training government or government policies that can encourage digital enterprise, that can withstand tomorrow competition?
For us, it's really of urgency for our country to really start looking from that perspective. Now, to just go back to your point in terms of technology disruption, I would actually say for Africa and Nigeria, in the fintech industry, we've actually made a lot of progress in that area. So if you look at the M-Pesa in Kenya, even Paga, etc. here in Nigeria, and if you compare what we've done in Africa to even the West, that fintech hasn't really taken up as quickly as it has here. To our local problems.
Local needs,
Exactly.
For every disruption, there's always the other side to it. Okay.
Sure.
Damage.
Like someone would say, in another 5 to 10 years, we will need banking, but we will not need banks as much as banking.
Yes.
So what does that mean to you?
It's just simple. That means we'll be dealing more of branches. I have one bank in one location in Lagos, but the bank is all over the country without having any branches there.
Exactly.
That's where we are moving to.
Mean that for almost 1 year, I've not been to any
because online banking on my phone, everything is on my phone.
And I have to give it to CBN there. For example, now I know they are really looking in-house, because one of our major issues is that in Africa here, we believe it's good except it's foreign. If it's not foreign, it's not good. But like I know the CBN sometime ago, not too long ago anyway, passed a law that we should start doing more.
It was a policy.
Yeah, it was a policy. Most of our softwares should be in-house. But we give it to them, they did that. But what do you want a bank to do where security is of utmost importance? Else their entire system could be hacked and you and I could lose our money. They still have to depend on foreign people. So what I feel is CBN should up that rule to now encourage technology transfer, because the truth is knowledge is the new oil. So if knowledge is the new oil, then the whole African government and the CBN and whoever, it's time we look at how to tap into this oil. And how? Let them have these banks, bring those people that are designing their softwares there and come here and do it as a knowledge transfer process, so that once our African and Nigerian people are good at it, we can even now sell to fellow African countries. And with that's a skill set in the fintech industry that is being built. The same thing for everything we are doing.
This is the Vision Network.
Experience. You can go back to the slide. Thank you. Thank you. So, let me know when the slides are back up. Yeah. When the slides are up, please let me know. Well, okay. So whilst waiting for the slide, I'll just run through some of the stuff that will come up on the slide. So according to industry experts, and as you've just heard, yes, there will be a transition from the skills that are in demand right now to the skills that will be required for the future. But so what's going to happen is now that the future. Yes, thank you. Yeah, can you hear me actually?
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much. Right, so there will be a transition from the skills that we are currently using right now to skills that are more mental and emotional, capabilities driven, as opposed to physical capabilities, in nature. So there's going to be a lot of coordinating things, getting things to even the automation to work the way it's supposed to work, playing some surveillance roles, but not really repetitive kind of a task. So according to industry experts, the underlisted skills are ones that we need to start cultivating in addition to the job-specific skills to remain relevant for the future workforce. Complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, people management, digital awareness, emotional intelligence, judgment and decision making, data intelligence, negotiation skills, cognitive flexibility. And it is essential that we start cultivating these skills as a part of our career or professional skills to keep ourselves relevant for the future. So in summary, next slide, please. So in summary, this presentation has addressed the misconception of skills development as being a tool for uneducated or underdeserved in the society. In reality, an educated citizen, a citizen without employable skills is, or even some sort of value skills, not even about employment, is already disadvantaged. Skills development is a catalyst for the nation's economic prosperity and sustainability. It is of essence for young people to identify their career passion early and seek the right path in developing those passions. And that is where I talked about earlier when I said a mentor is very important, because when you're much younger, you're driven by excitement. You want to be the first one to be in space in your, from your country. But then again, you got to marry that with the reality that space trips are not every day. And what you might find yourself doing every day may be far from space. And that's something, an intervention that I was grateful that somebody stepped in and assisted me. Without that, I wouldn't be able to know where I would be right now. Okay, so skills development is a continuous process. It's not when you've reached a career or you say I've reached it. There's always avenues for improvement. There's always new skills to learn, and there are always old skills to sharpen. To remain valuable in the competitive labor market, one must seek out avenues to learn and upskill. Look beyond your environment and align your skills with the international best practices. Get a skill set, a skills plan, and get to identify your competency levels. Get to know when you are at each specific competence. Are you an expert? Are you a learner? Are you intermediate? So there are different competency skills available. Develop one for yourself. This will help you remain relevant and resourceful in whatever environment you find yourself. Having seen the outlook of your future workforce, it is imperative to align your skills to what is obtainable in the future. Learn new technologies and adapt and develop a habit of research. Take up challenges and opportunities whenever possible. And talking about the research, the way I treat a problem is I will go as far as I need to go to get the information to solve a problem. So I struggle when people say, well, this is not my field. I'm like, no, this is not my field. But if I need to solve a problem, if I need to create a value, I'm ready to research, get the resources I need, get the expertise I need, and get the answers I need. Because ultimately, it is through that that you learn, you get out of your comfort zones. It's through that that you add enormous value. It is of great advantage for youths and young entrepreneurs to learn as much digital technology as possible, irrespective of the career path you choose. This is the direction the world and the future of the world and the future workforce embrace it early. Thanks. I think that's all from me. I'll entertain questions where available, please.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. The training was really engaging. I learned a lot. And I'm very grateful that I attended the training. So please, question. We have a few minutes for question. Drop your question in the chat box and let's read it out for him immediately. Question. We are entertaining question now. Whatever you want clarification on, you can drop it on the chat box now so we can move. Questions, questions, questions. We are waiting for your question. Okay. Will we get the slides?
Yes, you will. I would give you the slides. Yes, yes. I'll give it to the organizers, and they can pass that on. They have my permission. Not a problem.
Okay, seems Victor has a question. He said question.
Okay.
What question is that, Victor? Can we hear it?
My pleasure.
Okay. If there is no question, I'll take that there's no question.
Okay,
Okay,
so I have
hello.
a question.
Okay.
Victor, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Doctor, for your presentation. The delivery was really insightful and there was so much to learn. I did introduce myself. My name is Victor. My question really has to do with opportunities. You know, it's not really about me, but how do we, I believe the essence of this program, of this event, was to, in our own little way, attempt to contribute to job creation and reducing unemployment by way of delivering information to people. The major problem I see with unemployment and what we have in our society is lack of information. I know some persons are not so dogged to be hardworking and committed to searching for opportunities and all. How do we, as concerned people now, what modalities do we put in place to get information? Like you made mention of YIC Africa, which I'm a member of YIC Africa and I'm a beneficiary of their programs. So how do we, as a people, how do we get opportunities and information across to people?
Okay, so I lost you for a bit, but so just give me a short, repeat your question a bit again. Let me just hear. Sorry, I lost you for a bit.
Okay, in summary, what I was saying is there are a lot of opportunities out there, for young people relating to skill acquisition and empowerment, job empowerment.
Yep.
And all the likes. How do we get this? How do we get people to benefit from this? How do we get this information out there for people to be aware of and
be aware.
benefit from this?
Okay. That's a very good question. So remember, I talked about the peculiarity of the Nigerian system where everybody's working at their own independent plan. So it's going to take a while for us to have a consolidated effort, and I think that effort is going to be private sector driven. So somebody wakes up and say, well, I think this is a very wonderful plan. I need to consolidate all the lovely programs that are available and get people to know about it. Other than that, I think people just need to, I want to advise on the, to leverage the ripple effect of information. So I'll tell you a reason. If I join Maths for Life Foundation, I'm likely to find someone that is in I'm likely to find somebody that is also in YC. I'm likely to find someone that is also a beneficiary of another program. So that's the way, that's what I would advise you, just, it's got to be driven for now by the recipient trying to make out the opportunity to network and get this information. And then also the responsibility is on us for us to disseminate the information. So if you look at my LinkedIn, I share information on available programs that I think would benefit people, and we should all do that. So the answer is right in our hands. We are the ones that would start it, and then people would just follow through, and then the information would go around. I think that's the best way. There's really no consolidated portal where I'd say go here and look for the information. Well, at least not known to me. If there is, if I find it, I'll let the admins know and they can share with you as well.
Okay. I think Karen has a question too. Let me read it out. She dropped the question in the comments. You mentioned the importance of having a mentor. Is it advisable to have one question of different mentors for the different skills?
Sorry, come 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. I was trying to mute myself on the second.
Okay, Karen said, you mentioned the importance of having a mentor. Is it advisable to have one question of different mentors for the different skills?
Okay, to have different mentors for the different skills, right? Yeah, I mean, it is advisable for you to go for the best in whatever skills that you're going. I would say holistically, it's more likely that you find, except you're going for very specific skills. And I'll tell you this, the general skills are where, the general guidance are where you need mentors, right? The specific skills are really down to you because this is an area of interest and it may not have been my specific area of interest. So in that case, what you're looking at is a tutor, not a mentor for specific skill set, but general guidance of where not to go, what mistakes not to make. You are at liberty to get as many guidance as possible. Sometimes you have to consolidate them, look at context. Where is this guy coming from? What's the background? What's the perspective? But, obviously, there is no optimal number. That's not true. There's no optimal number. You're allowed to, speak to a lot of the mentors, get their perspective, have a summary perspective. The many the merrier. It's just a matter of how you put the information in perspective and get a value for yourself at the end of the day.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much. I don't know if there is any more question, but I cannot see any more questions. So that's it. That's the question for today.
Okay.
Thank you very much. You really, we are very grateful.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure. And as I said, I don't take this. I don't take this for granted. It's at any point in time you will need me to deliver any session. I'll be very happy to come on board. I'm always, I love giving back because, as I said, several people had intervened in my own life. Otherwise, I would have made some silly mistakes because I was smart and I thought, oh, well, the world is in my hands. I want to be the first guy from my village to design an aircraft. But I tell you what, a lot of my colleagues, they had that dream, it was a fanciful dream. And the way it was sold to us in the UK, frankly, was the UK context, We thought, oh, we will live in the UK and have all the good life and then go to space. But the reality soon came knocking. So I tell everyone, make sure your, whatever ideas, my parting word will be, make sure your ideas are very, very holistic. They're not, I don't like, I talk to people and I hear people have some fanciful ideas. Get it holistic, establish the baseline first and then build up from there. Right now, I'll leave you with the parting words of the mentor who helped me during my career days. He said, you can be an aeronautical engineer if you so want to be, but have the basics first. Have your mechanical engineering so you can work anywhere, and then you can go on in your master's. You can do anything. And actually, true to what he said, I did mechanical engineering first degree. I went on to do, automotive engineering in my master's, and I went on to do automotive in my PhD. But I still have a job in mechanical. So it's very important for you to get a mentor, listen to the mentor, compare experiences, extrapolate based on context, and make sure that at the end you're taking the best decision. There's not so much the government will do for you. A lot of it is going to be in your hands. And those are the parting words I'll leave you with. Thank you very much.
Very much, sir. Thank you very much. We are very grateful. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Yeah. For tomorrow, the training still continue, and we are having Mr. Tammy and Mr. Jude for tomorrow's section. Mr. Tammy is my mentor, so yeah, I'm really excited for tomorrow's training, and I hope you all are excited and you will be there. Please do us well to attend and try to listen, drop questions, and for all recordings, you could just send a DM to us and we'll send it to you if you need it. If you need Dr. Wisdom slide, send a DM to us too. We'll send it to you too. Thank you very much. Follow us on all our social media pages. Can you move the slide, please? Thank you very much. Follow on our social media pages: Twitter for Maths for Life NGO, Facebook Mathematics for Life Foundation, and on Instagram at Maths for Life NGO. You can also follow us on LinkedIn too for Mathematics for Life Foundation. For easy access, visit our website at www.mathematicsforlifefoundation.org. Please, thank you for attending. We love you. God bless you. Follow us on our social media pages and be at the training tomorrow. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you. Appreciate it.